Because those people don't know what they're missing and they're happy. I'm like, but there's a whole universe. Like, how are you not freaking out?
Never would understand, like, what does that even mean? If I don't have kids, it's selfish. Ricky Gervais has a bit about it, by the way, but I love it.
Podcast episode we're ever gonna do.
Hey, now we're gonna do more.
Yes.
Even if you don't like it, we're gonna do more.
This is my superpower. I have 2 superpowers.
And if you would leave it around there, it's probably blow up and start getting on fire. Just like our podcast. Boom. And recording sound and recording.
Now we're live.
Well, Chris.
First of all, cheers.
Cheers. Let's have a lovely Balian wine. According to this lovely gentleman from Italia, this is one of the best wines he ever tried.
Absolutely. My all-time favorite. Are you a big drinker?
I'm a drinker. I'm alcoholic, yes, Chris. I'm recovering.
I used to be.
I do enjoy wine once in a while. I mean, growing up in Latvia and not drinking alcohol is pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
As a student, I think I drank a lot. Sometimes you go to university drunk and it's like, that's normal.
Well, in university, I did law school because I come from a family of only lawyers.
Right.
And what happened is that I won a scholarship to go to Iceland.
Right.
Reykjavik. I was supposed to be 4 months. I stayed 2.5 years. And I became the manager of this club, and I was really alcoholic. But the thing is that in Iceland, during the winters, always dark. So I would wake up and say, oh, it's dark, time to drink. Then I would go to university, go out, oh, it's dark, time to drink. And I spent like literally the first 6 months of winter in Iceland, always drunk.
Wow. Yeah, well, alcohol, I don't know.
And I dropped out from university.
Nowadays, alcohol for me doesn't make much sense. I mean, like, it used to be, and I switched to weed. Like, when I lived in Canada, in Vancouver, I think that's where I switched to, I stopped drinking any alcohol because I thought, when you smoke weed, you don't have hangovers in the morning, and I thought, like, why not? And then everyone is happy and jolly, no one wants to fight. You drink 3 of these, I gotta fuck you up.
And that's the problem I had with alcohol. This is my superpower. I have 2 superpowers. Like real.
First is the penis.
Real life. No. That's the third. Real life superpower. The first superpower that I have is that I never had hangover in my life.
What?
Like I wake up every day. Like the top I wake up at 6 in the morning. But this means that I go to bed at 10 p.m. I wake up 6 in the morning, super fresh. I go to bed at 4 p.m. passed out drunk. I wake up at 6 in the morning, super fresh. It doesn't change anything.
That is a superpower. Okay.
And the second superpower, which is less impressive, is that if I have to put an alarm clock, I will always wake up 2 minutes before.
Always, like?
Always. Like if I go to sleep now for 1 hour, 55 minutes. If I go to wake up now for 2 hours, 1 hour, 55 minutes.
That's pretty decent superpower. I do that only when I'm super worried about...
So I'm never late. But maybe that's the thing, because I freak out when I'm late.
All right.
I don't know why. I can't be late in anything.
So, we're here in Chris's villa. It's Bali. It's beautiful outside, kind of a little bit cloudy. And me and Chris, we're pondering on this idea. Maybe we're gonna do a podcast together. But today's the first episode of this podcast is basically gonna be
the pilot, right? They call it.
Is it?
No?
The light went off.
That's a bad omen.
Just when we start talking about we're gonna do a podcast together.
Boom.
Did the bulb just died? So, as soon as I said this is gonna be the first podcast what we're gonna do together, and then Chris is like, yeah, it's gonna be a pilot, and the light just went off, and it stinks here, and if you would leave it around there, it's probably blow up and start getting on fire, just like our podcast. Boom.
So you just came to Bali.
Hey, so he's gonna interview me now.
I've been here for 3 years, and so first of all, why are we doing this podcast?
Why are we doing this? I mean, in the end of the day, for me, I enjoy learning new things from people. As like you meet and talk to them, I rather prefer doing that than reading books, listening podcasts, and watching TV.
Besides this one.
Yeah, and watching documentaries. If we could actually have a live person talk to you and find out that information, and with this kind of stuff, if we're successful enough, we can reach other people with this information.
Yes, I don't have the same goals, but...
Well, you don't have to have the same goals.
What I like about you, which is actually pretty rare in Bali, is that you are similar to me. Obviously, I have the better body and the better looks, but you're similar to me in the sense that you're kind of a jack of all trades.
On my Instagram, it says jack of all trades, a master of bullshit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go. Because you know how to do a lot of things. You know just a little about many things, which is something I have in common with you. I've been doing so many things in my life, and I call myself the master of useless information. I have this like trivia information in my head that just float. And this is actually something that I find hard to find in Bali. In Bali, many people are very, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that they're driven into one thing, but they're like mono-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like, if you meet a surfer, he will talk to you only about surfing. If you meet a spiritual person, he will talk to you only about crystals. Like, I don't think that's the key. The key for me to life is know just a little about as much as possible.
I wouldn't be able to put this any better. 100% agree. And as older I'm getting, as more I understand, there's just so many cool things to learn and to understand. Why not? You know. And well, this is the other theory what I have, or this is the kind of theory, specifically in sports. You know, when someone is a professional athlete and they just do one specific thing, most of the times they get injuries, and bad injuries.
Yes.
And injuries they can't recover and they can't really function anymore. If you spread it out and do like many different little things, and you then involve this type of muscle, that type of joint, it's like it spreads it around, and the chance to get injured is much less than if someone just does one thing. And I think about when people do certain things in their lives, like whether that's a shaman, whether that's a surfer, whatever, I think it's very similar. You just do one thing, but you just don't kind of, it's almost damaging to your person in a sense. But also the other way, it's just different type of people. I enjoy just doing variety. I will tell you, my perfect day, one of the greatest days I ever had, was in Spain. In the morning I was skydiving, jumping out of a plane from 13,000 feet. And afternoon I was doing horse riding, like a trick riding when you stand on two horses.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah, and shoot with the arrow kind of thing. And in the evening I went wakeboarding, you know, with a beautiful view around.
Nice.
That's what I thought was a perfect day. And that's when I was saying, like, you know, when the evening you lie in bed and you're like, that was a productive day.
I think that focusing on just one thing works if your goal is to be the best in the world. Like, of course, LeBron James is obsessed with basketball, or Khabib Nurmagomedov is obsessed with MMA. But that's also the problem. Like, the problem is that you almost set yourself up for failure in a way. Because if you put all of your chip in one thing, you might win, but you might lose big.
Put all the apples in one basket.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the saying.
Like, I feel like a person like you and a person like me, of course I don't have the physical prowess and I don't know how to do as many physical activities, but for me it's more of a mental thing. We'll never be out of work. We're like I'll be able to survive pretty much everywhere I go without any problem.
And I have a perfect story about this. The second year when I was working as a stunt performer. So I've been a stunt performer now for 6 years. And
okay, that's not even that long. I thought
no, just 6 years, yeah. And second year after I qualified, so you need to qualify I'm on the British Stunt Register. After I qualified, on the second year, I said that's it, because I was teaching gymnastics, I was teaching pole acrobatics in different studios.
Like pole dance?
Like pole dance, but it's like specific.
It's more like a sport, right?
Certain moves what girls were struggling with, and like in my case, because I was doing Chinese pole, and we usually do like human flags, which are quite hot, like very advanced moves.
Yeah.
And in some studios in London, they were like, "Ooh, we want you to teach specifically this move for our students," and that's what I was doing. And then I was teaching them also the conditioning using gymnastic rings and all that stuff. Anyways, I enjoyed teaching, but me as a personality, I get bored very, very quick, right?
That's the thing.
So,
That's the thing.
And on that second year as a stunt performer, I said to myself, if I want to become like really good stunt performer, I'm going to just focus only on stunts. So all I did, start learning all the weapons, like swords and some extra horse riding, all that stuff. And then I was out of work for a very long period of time, and actually the story goes I was cancelled for one big job 3 days before the job, and the job was like for about a month, which it's a lot of money for stunt performers, and I had like £300 in my account. I don't have any other jobs now, and I was fucked. So what I did, I went on this like website called Star Now in UK, and you just go do all possible little jobs. So I started working catering. So I started doing some, what else, as a bartender. And then as soon as I kind of figured out myself and making extra cash for doing that, then the job comes in. But the story goes here, I know exactly how it feels to be totally like no money, nothing. Because when I moved to Canada, I had nothing, so I had to start from zero.
But that's also the thing I like that you said is getting bored. Like I feel like throughout my life, motivation has been a struggle. I never kept a job more than 1-2 years because I was like, I'm done with it. And so this is the weird thing. First of all, I'm sweating.
I know, I just noticed.
This is gonna be the sweaty podcast because we had to turn off the fan.
Maybe we should just turn it back. Fuck it. It's not gonna be too bad, sound wise.
No, I like to sweat. It's fine. Yeah, the thing is that for me, and it sounds cocky to say, but I'm a cocky person, so fuck it. Things always came too easy, and when they came easy, I lost interest, and that was in job. When I was becoming the best sales manager, or the best sales agent, I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm done. Like, and this first happened when I was 12. You wouldn't believe it, but I was athletic when I was 12.
What happened, Chris?
I know. I won the region. I got married. That's what happened. When I got married, I bloated.
You did get married?
Yeah. Shout out to my ex-wife.
Hey.
When I was 12, I won the regional swimming competition.
Wow.
Which in Italy you do it with your school.
How big is the region? Like 20 people, 30 people?
No, 15. And what happened is that a scout came to my mother and me and said, well, we think your son has potential. We would like him to go to a professional team. As soon as he said that, I looked at my mom and I was like, I'm done swimming. I left, never did a competition. And maybe it's also the fear of failure in a way.
One thing I want to say definitely, Chris, is like, when did you say that Renars, it feels like it's going to be a bromance? When did you say that?
The first day I met you?
So...
No, actually no, because the first day I met you, we met on stage.
Yeah, we went on stage. When you gave me the ticket to your special, which I never went to.
Oh, motherfucker, that's true.
Because I went next day to do high diving from 20 meters in that, whatever the name of the area is. And I remember we did the high diving. I landed twice on my ass. From 20 meters, I was really hurt. And we got to Italian restaurant, ate some food, and I'm just like, shit, I have this ticket. Like literally in my wallet is the ticket, the special, oh shit, too late. So, but yeah.
The first time we really talked, I told you this was gonna be a bromance.
Yeah. I think that was after I did the first stand-up.
Yeah.
And we were leaving, you got on your scooter and you were like, this looks like a bromance. But this is crazy, so, oh God, we have to tell the story of how we met and stuff. But I went to the stand-up night what Chris is organizing here in Deus, in Bali, and the first night I went because a friend of mine invited me just to come to see it. And then Chris got on stage, he's like, oh no, was it Carlos who announced Carlos was hosting it, right?
Yeah, it was the night I wasn't there.
You were not there, no, you were there, but you came later.
No, that night I wasn't there.
2020 sucks. We needed to do the joke about the 2020 sucks.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that's I won the thing, and then that's how we met. Oh, come on. So we met there, and I was like, this is amazing. I want to come to try to do the stand-up, which was always for me such a like crazy thing to try. And then 4 weeks later, because I had in between, I was sick, and he thought that I was full of shit, but I was actually sick.
Still think that.
I was sick, and I couldn't come forward to do rehearsal and do the first night. But then I did my first stand-up last Friday, and here we are now. So
actually, let's take it a step back.
I think there's many steps back, but I also want to say about the idea what you mentioned about we do some things and you get very successful very quick, and then you get bored. That's the
story of your life.
Yeah, story of my life, because the thing is, like, I was raised in a very small town, 6,000 people, so the competition never gonna be big, right? So I was the best dancer in the town, I was the best in football,
the biggest dick.
Yeah. Even if we didn't do that competition. So even in basketball, look at me, I'm like 5 foot nothing. And even in basketball, I was pretty good. But in the same time, I think that small town mentality allows you to be very confident. Because you go and
you were the big fish in a small pond.
Big fish in a small pond, but that helped me when I moved to the capital. When I moved to the capital, because I was...
How many people are in your
capital? Is about 1 million.
And the name is?
Riga.
Riga, okay.
Yeah, so
I knew it.
Capital of Latvia is Riga, and all population is under 2 million. So pretty much more than 50% of the entire population lives in the capital. And when I moved to capital, I thought, this is it, this is me. It's a big pool, big pond, and now, it's going to take ages for me to kind of, that people know me and stuff like that. Because in my little town, you fart in one side of the town, in other side of the town, they say that you shit yourself. So they gossip, they're like, all this kind of crap, everyone knows you. And in Riga, but long story short, so I was doing a lot of things. I was hosting events, so I was in university. I changed many different jobs. You mentioned that you changed a lot of jobs. I changed from the first year in university to my last in doing masters, which is about 7 years. I counted about 14 jobs.
Damn.
And I was all over the place. I came in some place. I came in. I did 3 days. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not doing it, and just kind of left. And and just to finish the story about the big pond, small pond, and then I had a theory. If I run naked in the middle of the town and my mom gets a message 10 minutes later, that means I should leave that town. That's too small for me.
That's a...
Yeah. So, and because I was doing all of these things and hosting events and everything, I was going down central Riga, like I could, oh, hello, hey, what's up? Oh, hey, buddy, how are you? And the funny thing, because in Bali now, I'm doing MMA, I'm now in the stand-up, I'm doing surfing, I'm in volleyball, I'm going anywhere now. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, buddy? How are you? It's getting very...
Yeah. Well, Canggu is a small village.
That's true.
But, so this is the thing. When I said, let's go back. So, you are from Latvia.
Yes.
And by trade now you are an actor, you're a stuntman, and aspiring comedian.
Hopefully.
No,
aspiring is the right word, yeah.
No, well, aspiring just because you did it once, right? Yeah. No, but you have plenty of potential because, of course, you've been emceeing for huge events. So, of course, the stage presence, which is the first thing, is you already have it, and you have a really interesting look on society, which is actually what is needed to be a good stand-up comedian. And me, I am Italian. I come from Milano, and I am a comedian here in Bali. I'm the comedian here in Bali.
You the comedian. What does that mean? Like the only?
The biggest.
The biggest. Size?
Size.
He is pretty much. Size-wise, you are the biggest one. Who else is there?
And the fattest one.
Oh, stop it.
So, in this podcast, the thing about Bali that I like, and the thing why I wanted to do this podcast with you, because to be honest, I've received a lot of requests of podcasts, is because you are still fresh. You're not within the bullshit that is Bali. You're not within the politics that is Bali, which you realize more and more. And so I wanted to take you to the dark side. But Bali is a very interesting place. I'm curious to see your perspective as a new person in Bali, because Bali has a little bit of everything. Bali is very fake. It's very what I am is not what I portray to be, especially in the
very
social
LA
media.
almost, like Americans
Exactly.
LA. Yeah.
But here there's also a lot of very interesting people. And now, of course, it kind of stopped with 2020 and the pandemic and all that shit. But Bali is a unique hub in Asia because especially, and when I talk about Bali, I don't talk about the whole island. I mostly talk about Canggu and Uluwatu and the places where there is this huge expats community.
Expats, sorry, what is that?
Expats is somebody who just move to another country and say fuck it.
Right. But what does the expats mean? Expat, what is that short for?
Expatriate.
Oh, expatriate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, expatriate. So they used to be patriot for other countries, and then now they're expatriates for their countries, and they're a new country.
Yeah, it's like yes, whatever. That's exactly what I meant.
And also, this is a really cool. How many languages do you speak?
I speak, well, now only 4. I used to speak more.
Only 4. Fuck.
Now-
say that in the United Kingdom when you're in a pub. Oh, you're just only 4.
Well, my first language is, of course, Italian.
Yeah.
My second language is Spanish.
Yeah.
Then English, then French. I speak a tiny bit of Russian. I used to speak more because my ex-wife was Russian and because in Bali you need to speak Russian to
Yeah,
survive.
just so you know, anyone who doesn't know, in Bali there's a lot of Russians.
In Bali there's too many Russians.
Hey, Russians.
Привет.
Привет.
And I used to speak Creole because I lived in Cabo Verde in Africa, and it's a mix between African language and Portuguese. I used to speak a bit of Greek because I used to live in Greece. I used to speak a bit of Icelandic. And
Wow. That's a lot. Well, I speak 3 languages fluently, and I also speak a dialect. So my mom is... My mom is very
Latvian?
proud. Yeah, Latvian is the first one, which is Latvian official language. And then as a kid, my mom, she wanted me to learn the local dialect, which is if I speak very fast in a local dialect and you speak Latvian, you most likely wouldn't understand me. And so, yeah, my mom, she taught me when I was a kid. And then Russian, obviously, because we had a lot of Russian kids around. We had post-Soviet Union, all the influence, so all the cartoons and films I grew up with, they were Russian. So, and now...
Masha and the Bear. No, that's too recent.
Masha and the Bear. It is very recent, but funny enough, my friend, shout out to Luke, his son was watching the cartoons, Asian son watching cartoons about Masha and the Bear.
That's huge everywhere.
Yeah, it is huge. I was like, what the hell?
And English, of course.
In English, a little bit, yeah. Well, now I could say that my Russian is not as good as so English is my second language. So Latvian is still first, and then Russian is third, I guess. But talking about languages is just like, especially if you live in UK and you work with mainly Brits, like they always, oh man, you're so cool, you speak 2 other languages, and then you meet someone who speaks 4 or 5, you're like,
Well, especially I think in Eastern Europe they speak a lot of languages.
I would say especially someone who is around Holland, Belgium, that's the one, Switzerland.
Yeah. Well, Switzerland has three different national language.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like this girl, shout out to Viv, she's watching this. Viv, she's from Switzerland, and yeah, she speaks 3 or 4 languages, just like that. So it's...
Have you noticed this about languages? It's very true for me, and well, it has been a study, that you kind of change your personality depending the language you speak.
100%. Like as soon as you're gonna start Italian, it's gonna be.
It's so, like, for example, I couldn't even imagine doing comedy in Italian, for example.
Yeah. Perché?
And it's so weird, like, and there's also, what they say is that there is also a disassociation. So usually, even if you are very shy, very timid, when you speak in your second language, you're a little bit more open.
Really?
And also depend on the language. Like, even like when you speak Spanish, you'll naturally be more extrovert than when you speak Norwegian.
Yeah. Because language comes with the culture. So that's the whole idea. I know, like, yeah, if you speak Latvian or speak Russian, it's huge difference.
Is Latvian like for example, Spanish, French, Italian, they all come from Latin.
Yeah.
Is Latvian come from the same as Russian, for example?
It is such a weird little tree. We have our own little branch where it's only Lithuanians and Latvians are sitting on it, which is just hilarious. And then you go all the Poles, Slovaks, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Russians, they have the Slavic language. And then we have going up north, so even though Estonia is supposed to be part of Baltic countries...
It's Estonia and Finland, right?
Yeah, but Estonia is very... their language is so much more similar to Finnish, to Swedish, and to Norwegian, which is more Nordic stuff. Anyone could Google it. There's this whole huge tree, and you're going to find that Latvian and Lithuanian just sitting on the one little branch together. And so anyone... Usually people are like, oh yeah, so it's like Russian. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's like Lithuanian. What's Lithuanian? Well, there's this other little country. Yeah.
Is Lithuania bigger or smaller than
size-wise bigger and population-wise bigger. Yeah. So Latvia, Estonia is smaller than Latvia, size-wise and population-wise, I think.
Right.
Definitely population-wise.
And what's your plan now? Are you gonna stay in Bali or?
Well, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. Me and Chris, we are collaborating, working on some cool stuff.
Yes.
We're gonna be doing quiz night pretty much next week if everything goes according to the plan.
Yeah.
And then I am diving into comedy journey, and Chris is helping me.
My quest
wisdom.
to comedy that I started. Actually, we just celebrated 1 year of my comedy club, of the Bali Comedy Club. Yes.
Nice.
Of course, we were a few months closed because of Corona. But I really feel like Bali could be a hub for all Southeast Asia. English-speaking comedy, and that's my goal.
Yeah. And that's amazing. I mean, like when you said that the first time, I mean, like obviously right now it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because no one else can do anything else. I don't know if we probably gonna hear that lovely sound of motorized equipment outside.
Yeah. Because we have a rice field in front of my villa, and
Yes.
I think. Oh yeah, he started. He's gonna be here a lot. The guy left, we changed setup, which I think this one is better.
Well, I'm super excited with this table. Then we have a chalkboard here in the back, as you can see, and this is my lovely writing.
Then we're gonna need someone to write instead of us, but...
Yeah, we're gonna have an artist coming in. So this is gonna be the room for the next podcast. What is that? When we invite someone, how do we call them? Pray? No.
Guest.
Guest, yeah, but that's the word we're looking for.
We call him the guest too. Like, the person is gonna be called guest, but between us, we know he's the one we're gonna rape up. What?
Victim, that was the word I was looking for. We have a swimming pool to drown them. We have a field they can try
to hide the body.
Yeah, so we have a tiger just in the cage there, and we're gonna let go in the field. I'm gonna try to do a drone shot. Hopefully we're gonna include this and to show you what's going on outside. Okay, you asked a lot of questions to me about me. Now it's my turn. So you were born in Milano?
Yes.
Yes, and you lived there till how old? What was the age?
Well, I moved to Milano fairly early when I was 3 years old. I moved to another city in Italy, it's in the border between Italy and France, close to Monaco on the seaside.
Okay.
Because my father had health problems, so it was better climate. But then I moved out from Italy when I was 16. I moved to the US by myself as an exchange student. And then when I came back, it was one of those things, because this other town where I lived wasn't as small as yours, but it was pretty small. It was 60,000 people.
60.
Yeah.
That's like our capital. It's a small town, Italy, 60.
Well, it's weird when you talk to Chinese or Russian people and say, yeah, it's a small city, 5 million.
Yeah.
Like, what? And when I came back, I felt like I moved on and the people stayed the same. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
How does that feeling came down on you that something is not right? Because that's usually question because for me, just I felt it.
Yes.
I felt it in my gut.
First of all, I wanted to go to the US. Of course, I was a kid watching TV and stuff. And I managed to go to the US, and it was a very hard year in the US. I was in Florida and Jacksonville for 1 year, and it was 2001. Like, after a couple of months, there was the Twin Tower accident.
Oh shit, right.
And I was a kid who didn't speak English in a foreign country, away from my family. There was no Skype, there was no WhatsApp. I would call from a payphone my mom once a week. And so it was tough, but it was good. And when I came back, I was like, that's something is not right, because I come from a city where some of the people never go away from that city.
Yeah.
And they think that you really understand the saying is true that ignorance is bliss, because those people don't know what they're missing and they're happy. I'm like, but there's a whole universe. Like, how are you not freaking out? Like, what the fuck? And so I started university because by the time I came back, then my father died. And as I said, I come from a family of only lawyers, so I had to enroll law school. I started law school. After 6 months, I had completed all the exam for my first year, so I moved to Africa. Because why the fuck not? That's why. And then I came back and I got a scholarship to go to Iceland. I was supposed to stay 4 months. I stayed 2.5 years. And then I moved to Greece, and then I moved to Spain. And then I got sucked back into the corporate machine. I was like,
what do you mean Greece, Spain? Don't just fly over. Why did you move to Greece? Why did you move to Spain?
I was an entertainer.
What were you doing then?
I was working in hotels, making sure people had fun. That was my job.
Why did you miss that part? You know, that's important for you telling about you.
Yeah, and then also, of course, this is how I came afterwards to be a comedian. Basically, this was a very 80s and 90s thing in Italy. Now it's over. Those company went bankrupt. But we had resorts only for Italians all over the world. Where people would come the same day, fill in the resort, and leave after 1 week. And it's so stupid, because people would go to Africa, where I was in Cabo Verde, or to Greece or to Spain, pay thousands of euros and never leave the hotel. Okay. They would only eat Italian food, only speak with Italian people, but then when they came back home, they would say, oh, I've been to Africa. No, you haven't. You've been to a fucking resort and you never left. And there were this team of people, of young people, I was one of them, I was managing them, that would make sure you had fun. So during the day, I would just talk to you. You were like somebody, I would talk to you and I would say, hey, let's go play volleyball. And we would go play volleyball. And in the evening, there was an amphitheater and I would perform every single night, no day off, for 6 months in front of 300, 400, 500 people. Yeah, I did that I did 1 year in Africa, 1 year in Greece, 1 year in Spain. I then came back to Spain, was Tenerife, the Canary Islands. Then I just opened a bar there, but I left. It's always the same old story. I go to a place, I start to thrive, I get a girlfriend, she said, let's go back, and I go back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you think that it's not going to happen with Bali?
I'm sure of it.
You're sure of it?
No, it's probably gonna happen. But
2 weeks later, Chris, bye! Go to the quiz night.
And then for 5 years I stayed in Milan, stuck in the corporate machine. I opened my company. I left my company because I had a disagreement with my brother, and I said, fuck, I'm leaving, and I left with nothing.
What, your real brother?
Yeah. I built myself back up. I worked for billion-dollar corporations, and then the reason why I came to Bali is because I was working for this company, which I cannot name because I have an NDA. And this company just hired me.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Yes, this company just hired me. I had a really good job. They hired me, and at the time I just split with my wife, so I wanted to get the fuck out. And they told me, you're gonna be in the lead of this salesman task force. Mm-hmm. Every month you're gonna change a country. I was like, that's fucking amazing. I was supposed to start in Madrid a month, then go 6 months around South America, and then go to Pacific Islands. The pay was amazing, and I was supposed, because I'm a great salesman, go there, close the deal, get the fuck out. Living in 5-star hotel, everything. I signed the contracts. I was supposed to start in 1.5 months. And then things started to get shady. This company is from Hong Kong, by the way.
Oh, wow.
And first they say, well, you're not going to start in Madrid, you're going to start in Warsaw. sure, whatever. Well, you're not gonna start in Barca. We actually have an office in Milan. You're gonna start in Milan, where I was staying. I was like, yeah, sure, it doesn't matter. Like, it's 1 month of training. I'm a company man, whatever you guys want. And then I was supposed to start on Monday. This Saturday, the vice president calls me and says, Chris, so the thing is, I'm also new. I've been here a couple of months. This project was my idea. The CEO just shut it down. We don't really have a job for you. I was like,
wow.
I ended my lease on my apartments and I quit my job to come here. What the fuck am I supposed to do? And he was like, don't worry. Start at the office in Milan, we'll give you something to do, you'll get the paycheck. But the problem is, first of all, is that as a sales manager, most of your money is what you sell. Basically, I was in the office doing nothing. So I couldn't sell. And what happened is that the contract I signed was an illegal contract. Now I knew this because I studied law, because my previous company was basically selling to the best law firms in Italy. But I signed it anyway, knowing that I would have leverage in case shit would go down. Because in Italy there's labor law, and basically the maximum that I think they can give you 3 weeks of probation period, and there was 3 months. Which for my kind of contract didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So after 2 months and 29 days of me just sitting in the office doing nothing, I receive a letter and say, we're not gonna renew your contract. You're within your probation period. Please get the fuck out. I was like, oh, is that how it's gonna go down? I called the vice president, like, listen, and he's like, Chris, business is business. I'm like, I understand. So this contract is not valid. So since business is business, either we have an agreement or tomorrow my lawyers are gonna contact your lawyers and you're gonna be in deep shit. So let's work it out, shall we? We did work it out. They gave me a bag of cash and I was free for the first time in a long time. I was like, you know what? I always had this thing Bali in my head. Never been to Bali before, never read about Bali. I was like, you know, fuck it, and I moved to Bali.
Well, where did you hear it then?
What?
About Bali, where did you hear it from?
Bali's famous, you know, people go there on holidays and stuff. I don't know, I just had this thing, I have to go to Bali. And I had no plan, so I just came here and I said, if I like it, I'll stay. If I don't like it, I'll move on. And
that was now how long ago?
3 years ago.
Years.
Cheers.
Hey. Dude, that is a crazy story, man. I think I have crazy stories. But yeah, that sounds pretty cool. That was like, again, from the point when you decided, as I like when you mentioned about like why people stay here and the ignorance is the bliss. And the way I compare this always in my head, I say you have 2 stores outside your house. One is tiny little store where you have...
This fly is fucking irritating. Okay.
So you have one store where you have like the basics, you know, like one type of milk, one type of bread, one type of like SpongeBob socks, your favorite ones. And then next to it, right next to it is a supermarket where you have everything and super different type of qualities and different prices in it. Would you go to the little store?
The problem is that what if you cannot afford the big store? Because the problem is
No,
but this is the thing. If you only went to the little store, you only know the product of the little store, you're gonna be happy because you think you're getting the best. What if one day you go to the big store, you try sushi for the first time, and then you go back always to the little store. You say, yeah, but that was amazing. I want to try that again. Like, what the fuck? And that's where this fire goes in people like you and like me. It's like, I've seen what's out there. Like, why are we staying here? Like, there is amazing.
Yeah, but rewind, when you said like, so you go to a small store and then you go to the bigger store to try the sushi. So what do you mean by that?
For example, is when I moved to America for 1 year, I was like, oh, so there's a whole new world outside.
Yeah. I understand that, but what I'm trying to say to you, let's say it's a small town, and then you have these 2 options, and they're right there, they're next to each other. Why?
I will always go to the big store.
Yeah, so why people choose to go to the little store? And there is, I mean, in the reality, it's not that they're next to each other. In reality, you do need to travel.
And there is a reason, and it's called the cost of change.
Get out of your comfort zone.
It's not only that, the cost of change happens with everything. Like, for example, I'm very reluctant every time I have to change phone. Because I'm used to this phone.
Yeah.
And I have to download the other app. Like when Facebook changes interface, I'm like, and then after a week, I don't even remember how Facebook was before.
Yeah.
It's called the cost of change, and it happens with everything.
Oh, good one.
And there's always like this little thing, because even if we don't like something, if it's familiar to us, we accept it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna always give preference to something that feels more familiar than.
And you will. I don't know if you already seen it. Everyone who lives in Bali seen it, and maybe you experience this not with Bali but with London or LA and Montreal.
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like people, you would talk to people from back home, and they would say, "Oh, you're so lucky you moved there. Oh, I wish I could do it." Then fucking do it.
Yeah.
Then fucking do it. And then they start mentioning thousands of excuses, and I don't have money. Yeah, but why the fuck did you buy the iPhone 12 Pro? You mean you had some money, you just decided, or you don't have money, start fucking saving money so in 1 year you can do the jump. Oh, but I have children. How many people are here with kids? Oh, but if you want to do it, just fucking do it.
Humans are designed in some very weird way. They're designed to always come up with excuses. It's like if a car is designed to break down at some point, or...
Excuses and complaints. That's what we're really good at.
And as soon as, like, nowadays I'm just so, I don't know, I'm so used to that, to be actually surrounded by people who are very similar minded. And if I hear someone complaining about their lives or complaining about this, I don't even have a conversation, I just walk away.
Yeah, no, I actually started this a few years ago. I have very little patience for bullshit. Yeah. Now when I hear, I just look the person there, I say no and walk away. And it is the best feeling in the world. But that's the thing. Is because we cannot face our own failure. And so we always try to find, my girlfriend was a bitch, that's why it didn't work out. And my partner in business, that's why the business didn't work. It's never your fucking fault, isn't it?
Someone else's fault, yeah.
And also when somebody calls you on your bullshit, like for example, I do this a lot in Italy because Italian people are awful people. And for example, when there is a line, there's always someone who tries to skip the line.
Shout out to Italian people.
Woo-hoo. Ciao a tutti. And I call them, and people wouldn't say nothing. And I say, yo, you're behind that. Go the fuck back. And the reaction, or when, for example, you drive. We all make mistake when you drive. And I'm a very passionate driver, okay? But if you cut me off, I'm gonna scream at you.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes happened that I cut off somebody screamed at me, or sometimes it happened that I cut off a line and somebody told me. And you know you're in the wrong. So like if I do something wrong on the road and somebody honk at me or say, yo, what the fuck? I'm saying, sorry. And that's it, it's over.
And then you move on, yeah.
But some people then scream back at you and you're like, why the fuck are you screaming at me? You did something wrong. Yeah. Or like, lady, you just cut the line, you were back there. No, and they start screaming and they start becoming overly aggressive because they cannot take the failure. And those are the kind of people who cannot accept it. And they're the people who live a very sad life, because if you cannot even accept that you cut off someone on the road or in the line, then think about the real failure in your life that are bound to happen. Because it's gonna happen. That's a great lie. The great lie that we've been told is that we have to pursue happiness.
Yeah.
The problem is we will never reach happiness, and if we do, it's momentarily.
But also the question is, what is happiness?
But things go up and down, because happiness is an instant, and then life happens, and so you just have to. Life is a fucking game of poker, you know. You're never gonna have always two aces to start with.
No.
You're gonna have shitty cards. You're gonna have good cards. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose it. Fuck it.
It's not how you lose, but it's how you stand up and how you fight. Adrian!
Or it's not what happens to you. No, it's not. Wait. Yeah, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it.
Yeah.
Viktor Frankl from Man's Search for Meaning. Actually, this is I hate coaches, but this is one of the books I suggest.
Shout out to coaches.
Because this guy who wrote that book.
Yeah.
He wrote that book while he was in Auschwitz.
Oh shit. Shit.
So you know when people say, "Yeah, you don't know my problem." Well, when he said it's how you react, he was in the literally objective worst possible situation, and he still said he's how you react. And so if he fucking said that, my problems are nothing.
Oh man, yeah. As soon as you get into that, why we made those decisions and why we're here where we are. But at the same time, I remember my dad, who actually passed away now. It's been 7 years. He was like heavy alcoholic.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, but he was an amazing guy. Like honestly, when he wasn't drinking, he was a really cool dude.
I was gonna say cheers to him, but maybe that's not.
Yeah, cheers to him. And he wasn't very big with like telling me what to do. He always said like, you kind of, he said, I think you should have family. If you don't have family, it's selfish, which you never would understand. Like, what does that even mean? If I don't have kids, it's selfish. Ricky Gervais has a bit about it, by the way, but I love it. You heard it, yeah?
Well, he's one of the goats.
Yeah, he's the one. But my dad said a couple of things. He said, especially when I started saying about I want to move away, I want to move to States or Canada or whatever, I'm not really sure. And then when I moved and I came back and I went to my local high school, I still have a very good relationship with my English teacher. And I go and do little lectures to these students, and all I do, I just tell them, listen, doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, you always can get to these places, you know. And that's where I already like got into film industry, and I was saying, oh, I'm working with Tom Cruise, and people are like, what was that? And but my dad, he said one thing. He's like, there are birds who like to make their nests somewhere far, far away, somewhere exotic in Africa or like whatever is the environment they want. And you have to travel, and it's hard and it's dangerous, and they feel happy there, these birds. But there are birds who will make a nest right outside your house, and they're gonna be just as happy. So why don't you just accept there were different type of birds? That's about it. So for me and you,
what bird are you?
Fuck those.
You're a goose.
Goose. Yeah, the Canadian geese, they fly a lot
You're
around.
a goose because you're aggressive and
they shit a lot.
okay.
They do, trust me. So like Canadian geese, anywhere they land, it's gonna be the whole field covered with shit. I'm aggressive? Really?
No, you're not. You're a hawk.
You sweating again.
Jesus. Yeah. At least I'm gonna lose weight during this.
Yeah,
during
here
this
you go.
podcast.
Because since you've been coming to MMA Bali you changed the T-shirt, did you?
I did on purpose because I knew you were gonna give me shit about it.
Chris is like everyone who trains in MMA Bali, and I was saying like, oh, I'm getting into this comedy stuff, and oh yeah, Chris, he used to come.
Did they say that?
No. They said like, yeah, he comes to MMA Bali, and I was like, I've been here for a month and a half. I've never seen him here.
Because I go to special classes.
Of course, he goes to special classes. His class is called no classes. Well, dude, like your story is crazy. Honestly, you don't hear that a lot, and it repeats again the things when you mentioned about anything you take, it goes successful, and sometimes that's not always amazing. Sometimes it can be a burden in the sense that you take something, you play with that toy, and you get bored very quick, and you need something new.
Story of my life, but this is not one thing I'm gonna get tired very soon. The famous last word. The only podcast episode we're ever gonna do.
Hey, now we're gonna do more.
Yes.
Even if you don't like it, we're gonna do more.
We don't care.
If you're good enough and nice enough, your name is gonna be here next. So
yes. So this is the format we have in mind. It's not gonna be just the two of us. We need some actual nice people to include in the podcast. So we're gonna start interviewing interesting people, and there's a lot of interesting people in Bali. But not only there's Zoom, like there's technology on our side. So if you're an interesting person and if you know interesting people, let us know.
How often are you gonna have someone like, hey Chris, I'm really interesting. Can I come over?
All the time.
I don't care if you're interesting or not. Just come over. I think, well, how...
That sounds a little creepy though. Just come. We have candies.
No, Chris is gonna make sure that he's gonna get in touch with you most likely. So I don't know many people here in Bali, but you know, next time when I surf next to you...
But fuck Bali, this is not for Bali. This is gonna go out in the world.
Well, obviously, but also what is Bali? Bali is just a pit stop for all the weirdos. I wanted to say cool people, but
It's a magnet for weirdos.
Magnet of weirdos. And so, also, do you have any idea what's going on with all the when is going to be the next time when people can actually come into Bali?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
I think realistically might be summer. Because Bali, but it's not only Bali, it's the whole world. Like, tourism is such a big driving force for many economies, Bali included, of course. So I don't know how long Bali can sustain itself without tourists.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be bound to open again.
And we need more people to do the podcast with.
Fuck Bali, we just need people for a podcast. That's what you're saying.
The battery is dying. Wait.
This was our podcast, the first podcast. It's gonna get better, I promise. It's just like my sexual performances. The first one is okay, but wait for the second one. That's gonna be amazing.
And the 10th one is even better.
Exactly. So, what do you think? What do you want us to talk about? Who do you want us to talk with? Should we keep Renars answer to all these questions?
Should we keep Chris at all being part of this podcast? That's another question.
I bring the beauty factor. You know,
And I like the idea about give some ideas what to talk about. Obviously, Chris represents comedy, stand-up comedy, so we can talk a lot about comedy stuff. My experience as a stunt performer, also a martial artist, also I do bikes. I've done skydiving. I've done a couple things here and there, so maybe I can talk about that.
Next episode, Renars is gonna tell you his personal story with none other than TC, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, are we ready for that? Yeah, definitely.
Too soon?
No. Yeah, I can tell that. Yeah.
Tell a fake one, and then when we get big, you tell the real.
We can do that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Whoever is wasting their lives.
My mom,
this.
my sister. Hey there.
So me and Chris, it didn't take us long actually to get to this point. So which is awesome. Couple days.
It was love at first sight.
So yeah, buddy, good stuff.
Boom.
My pleasure. Everyone, have a fantastic day. Bye.